Alright ladies, so in this video I'm going to explain to you how to complete composition task 1, which is actually your assessment task. And in essence what you're going to be doing is creating a piece of music that is designed to show us your understanding of crotchets, quavers, minams, semi-breves, and A, D and E major chords on the guitar. So let me begin. I'll explain by a couple of things and hopefully you can see what I'm highlighting over here on the board. So the first thing I'm going to mention is composition. So the word composition, or to compose means to create. So a composer is someone who creates something. And in our case, we're talking about music, so a composer is someone who is creating music. So when you create your own composition, you're composing a piece of music. Now, for our purposes, the aim of this task, we're looking over here, is to compose a piece of music using semi-breves, minams, crotchets, quavers, and A, E, and D major chords. That's everything that you've learnt so far in this course. You've learned about the guitar playing 3 chords, and the song Heartbreak Hotel, which you've been learning, uses A, D, and E major chords. And in addition to that, you've been learning crotchets, quavers, minams, semi-breves. So this task is designed to show me your understanding of all of that. Really importantly, for this task, use a pencil. Because what's going to happen in your book is when you make a mistake, or when you have to correct something, or when you show it to me and I say, no, go and fix this up, if it's in pencil, you can quickly fix that up. If you've done it in pen, you've got to scribble it out and makes a mess and all that kind of stuff. Now, what I will say is use a pencil, and it's okay if you make mistakes. If you completely stuff it up, it's perfectly okay. We can either print out a new sheet, or you can even do the activity in your workbook. It's not going to be a problem. So, the first thing that you need to do with this task is to read through the instructions, and the instructions say use the templates on pages 42 and 43, which are the following pages, to create a composition or your own piece of music. The composition will use a 4/4 time signature, which simply means it's going to have 4 beats in every bar. That's all it means. 4 beats in every bar. And the composition must contain the following things: A major chord, D major chord, E major, semi-breves, minams, crotchets, quavers, and the repeat symbol. Now really quickly, the repeat symbol you sometimes see at the end of a section of music, and it looks exactly the same as a double bar line. Now normally a double bar line is just the 2 lines like this, and it means stop, or it's the end of the piece of music. But the repeat symbol is exactly the same, with the addition of 2 little dots like that at the end. Actually, I should make that a little bit bigger like that. So it's 2 little dots, and what that says to the musician, anything that happens before then, I want you to replay again and play it again. So that stops the composer from having to write everything out again. Heartbreak Hotel is a really good example. It's the same piece of music over and over and over again until the end of the song. So rather than write it like 7 or 8 or 9 times, they just write it once, and if you were playing that in a band, they would just put repeat times 7, and that means you repeat it that many times. Yeah, what's the question? Ask loudly.
I was going to ask...
Ask, that's okay.
I was going to ask, you know when there's 2 and it says repeat?
Yep.
How many times, do you know how many times?
Right, so if it's just written like this, you would repeat it just 1 time. So you play it, you go back and you repeat it once. Sometimes they might say times 3, in which case you play it once, twice, 3 times, and then you've repeated it 3 times. Yeah, that's what that means. Yeah, good question. Yep.
Are you allowed to have more music after the repeater?
Absolutely, yeah. So sometimes, or what happens a lot in music is that, let's say the song starts and it's an introduction, and the introduction repeats 4 times. They put a repeat symbol and they say times 4, and after the 4th time, you keep playing whatever's afterwards. And sometimes you have another repeat that says just repeat this section over here. All right, we cover repeats in a bit more detail later on. So, step 1, and I strongly encourage you to read the steps, because the steps tell you everything you need to do. Step 1, use the draft copy template to fill in each dotted box with an A, D, or E major chord. Some chords have already been filled in, When finished, play the chords on the guitar and make sure the chords sound good together. So the draft copy template, by the way, who can tell me what's another word for draft? Yeah, in the back. Tell me.
Once you finish getting everything ready, it's just to show you how it's going to be done.
Yes, it's an example of what you're going to do. Another word that's sometimes used, just hands down for the moment, is rough copy. You do like a rough copy of what you're going to do, you work out what is going to work, you work out what changes you're going to make, and then you write it out properly as you're finished. So on page number 42, that's your draft copy, but then the one that I end up marking is the final copy template, which is on page 43. So rough copy for this one, that's what we're going to work on. And you'll notice that step 1 said fill in the dotted boxes. You can see that there's a dotted box here, here, and so on. So I'm just going to randomly fill in these boxes. Actually, I'll do it in red so it sticks out. I'm going to put a D chord here. I'm going to put an E chord here. Let's go back to A. I'm going to start with A, D, A, and then I've got E and an A. So basically, the next thing that you do is you test that the chords are going to work, and we've got A, D, E, A, D, A, D, A. I'm happy with that. If I wasn't happy, rub it out, change it, fix it, work out what chords you want to do. Yeah.
See how there's different parts to each line?
Yep.
Does it have to be a letter for each part? You know how you only pick the A, D, E, A, Y?
I'm going to get to that. That's the next step. So, step 2 is using semibreves, minams, crotchets, and quavers, create a rhythm pattern for each bar. Alright, I'll stop there and I'm just going to do that little bit there. So for each bar, you've got these numbers that go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What that means is, let me ask a question, how many beats does one crotchet last for? Go Lily. 1. So if I draw a crotchet here, it lasts for all of beat 1. Now all of beat 1 is 1 and. Because by the time I get to 2, let's say I put another crotchet, well that uses up all of 2 and. Like that. Oops, I've done 3, that's not correct. Let's go 2 and. Now let's say I'm going to use quavers. Who can tell me how many beats one single quaver is by itself?
Half a crotchet.
Half. But in this task, you're going to use 2 quavers joined together by a beam in each case. So I'm going to do 1 quaver, and the first quaver is on beat 3, and the second quaver is on and of 3. So when I count, I go 1, 2, 3, and. And I'm just going to finish off with a crotchet like this. So at the moment, I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or ta, 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 ta. But in this composition, what's actually going to happen is what chord do I need to be playing? What chord does it tell me up the top here that I've got to play? Someone else. Yes. Antonia, A. So I get my guitar, and my composition is now going to sound like this. Ta, 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 or 1, 2, 3, and 4. But when I play it with a chord, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? Ta, 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 ta. If I'm happy with that, I keep it. If I'm not happy with that, I rub it out because I've done it in pencil and I fix something up. So in this step here, we now need to fill in the rest of the bars with whatever patterns we want. I'm going to use a minam. A minam lasts for 2 counts. So we will go 1 and 2 and then I might add crotchet and another crotchet. So now my composition is sounding like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I change to a D chord. So let's pretend that in my composition, I'm now going to put a semibreve. Now a semibreve lasts for 4 counts, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Something to be mindful of. If I put a semibreve, in music, you put it at the beginning of the bar. You wouldn't put the semibreve here. Let's do this. If I put the semibreve there, well, it kind of tells the musician that you're going to start counting on beat number 1 and 2 and, because it's on top of that. So and that doesn't work because we've got to start right at the beginning, right? Because it's worth 4 counts. It has to fill up the whole bar. So instead of putting it in the middle, whoops, make sure you put it at the beginning, because that indicates to the musician, oh, you're going to play something that lasts for that amount of time. And let me quickly finish off this bar. We'll go Minam, Crotchet, Crotchet. Now notice how I'm doing my best on this iPad to write nice and neatly. Notice that the crotchets, semi-breves, minams are all basically the same size. Like I haven't got a giant minam like that, and I haven't got like a microscopic crotchet like that. They're all roughly the same size. So now my composition will go like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swap to D for 4 counts. 2, 3, 4. Then D for 2 counts. 2, 3, 4. Now I can play it faster if I want. I might go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I can play it slower. Doesn't matter. What's important is that you keep a nice steady beat. Yeah.
So is every number and 1 count?
A whole number is, let me do it like this, is 1, oh, that doesn't work. Let me fix that up. I'll do it in green. The whole number is 1 and. The and is the other quaver if you use a quaver. So sometimes in music, you might have a quaver that just, like if I wanted to have 1 quaver by itself, I might put it on what we say the and of 1. So 1 might be silent, and then we might play on the and of 1. So you go 1 and, like that. But in this composition, we're not using single quavers. We're always using 2 quavers joined by a beam, so that you got 1 and in each case. Or if I do another set of quavers, then it would be 2 and, like that. Yes. Ask loudly, because otherwise it won't record.
You know, for every beat that you have, is it A or B or B? Oh, not B. You know how?
Oh, the chords.
Yeah.
Yep. You're in this composition. You're only using A, D, and E major chord. Yeah. There are lots of other chords, but for this task, it's only A, D, and E chord.
Could you pick any one you use for each one?
In the dotted boxes that aren't filled in already, yes. So like, there's a box, I've put it in as a D chord, but this one down the bottom, it says E, this one in the end says A. Keep those as they are. Yep.
So we make our own song using
You're making, yes, so the question is, do you make your own song using that? Yes, you're making your own song using A, D, E chord, crotchets, quavers, minimums, semi-breves, and just like I'm doing, I'm just making it up and then seeing if it works. So let me quickly finish off this. I might do crotchet, crotchet, minimum, crotchet, crotchet. In each case, I'm testing to see whether each bar has 4 counts. So let me use this one as an example. I'll do a different color. So a minimum is worth 2 counts. A crotchet is worth 1. Another crotchet is worth 1. 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals how many? 4. So that equals 4 counts. I can do, let's test this one over here. Oh, that's exactly the same. Let's do this one over here. So this one here, a crotchet is worth 1 count. Another crotchet is worth 1. These are worth half each, and that's worth 1. So 1 plus a half plus another 1 equals 4 again. So that passes the test as well. I'm just going to rub that out because I don't actually want that in my composition. There we go. Yes. Ask loudly.
Are you allowed to, you know how you just made it and the whole, all of them together equals 4
Yes.
counts? Are you allowed to do it less than 4?
No, because our time signature says at the beginning of the piece of music, this piece of music is in 4/4, and that top number tells you, I need a smaller pen because otherwise that's too fat. Let's go there. Oh, let's do that. See if this works. I'm not fat shaming the pencil. It's perfectly okay. So that top number says how many can I have in there. The top number is 4, so I have to have 4. Sometimes in music the top number might be different. It might be 3 or 2 or 5 or 7 or 10. But in this example, we're just sticking to 4 beats and above. All right, let me move on. Oh, yeah, sorry, Zell, go.
So that's basically your draft, like that's your song?
This is the draft. When I come to finishing this and I've tested it and I'm happy with it and I've checked that there are 4 counts and I can play it correctly, then I write it neatly into here, and this is the one that I mark. All right, so you basically copy that into here. Okay, now let me go back to these instructions. So that was step 2. Step 3, change the last bar line of the composition into a repeat symbol. So let's go to, this is very easy. We go to here, that's the last bar. I'm going to make this into a double bar line by putting a double bar line, because that's what name. And I'm going to add the 2 dots. This says to the musician, I want you to start at the beginning, and when you get to this part here, I want you to go back to the beginning and play the whole thing again. Yep.
So if you put it on the second line.
Yeah.
Where the E and the A is.
Here.
Does that mean you go back to the beginning, or you go back to the where E starts?
If I put it here, you go back to the beginning.
Yeah, but what if like one of the middle lines?
Oh, okay. So let's say I did it here. So you're asking, let's say I put a repeat there.
Yeah.
Well, then what would happen is I play that, now I have to repeat. You go back to there, and then once you've repeated it, you can keep going. So in this example, this is a good example actually. I'm just going to see if I can get it into the camera. You start at the beginning, play, repeat. Play. I've already repeated, I'm going to keep going. Go back to the beginning and do all of it again. You do everything again. But in this composition task, you're being asked to not worry about here. You're only having the repeat right at the end of the piece of music. Okay, that was the next step. Step number 4, very important. Learn to play your composition. If needed, use arrows on top of each note to indicate appropriate strumming pattern. Remember that when you're strumming or when you're playing quavers, it's best to use a downward strum for the first quaver, followed by an upward strum on the guitar for the second quaver. This is what it means. I'll just do it over here. Let's say my pattern goes crotchet, quavers, crotchet, crotchet. And let's say that I'm playing an A chord. What this is saying is that when you have the quavers, it's probably better to go down on that quaver and come up on that quaver. The reason is, when I strum on the guitar, my hand starts at the top and I go down. Now, in order to strum again, where does my hand have to go? Where does my right hand have to go? Up. So we're already coming back up again. We're going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But when you play quavers, you want to hear that. So you actually go strum, 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 strum. So in this example, I would probably play down, down, up, down, down. Crotchet, quavers, crotchet, crotchet. Or down, down, up, down, down. It doesn't really matter whether you go down or up. You can just go down, down, down. Oops, sorry, I mucked that up. Down, 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 down. You could go up, 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 up. The only thing is it makes more sense that if your hand's already down and you need to come up for a quaver, you come up with the quaver rather than having to jump around a bit. Let me just get my pen. Okay, let's move on. Next step. Step 5. After you've finished, and I strongly recommend that before you start step 5, at least show someone else in the class and say, does this look right? And if they go, yeah, it looks pretty good, and they know what they're talking about, by all means go on. Even better, ask the teacher, or ask any of us music teachers, and we'll have a look at composition, say, yep, it's fine, or we might say, fix this up, change that, so you can keep going. Neatly rewrite it. Then I'm going to mark your composition, and I'm just going to look at what's going to happen when you get an A for this task. Composition is neatly written. So I want to see nice, neat, crotchets, quavers, minams. Oh, that's a bit dodgy. Let me fix that up. Let's go like this. There. I don't want to see crotchet, crotchet, quavers, semi-brief. Not good. Make sense? Keep it nice and neat. So, composition is neatly written. Yes, all parts of the task have been completed. So, here's what you do. Have you filled in each box with A, D, and E major chord? If you have, yes. I haven't, because I still haven't even finished my draft yet. But in this case, if you have, let's pretend you go, yes, I've done that. Yes, I've used semi-briefs. Yes, I've used minams, crotchets, quavers. Have I checked that everything works 4 counts? Have I added a repeat symbol? Yes. That means that you've done the task correctly. Then you come to here and it's yes, I've done. Are there any mistakes? Well, I've checked it all. No. And then, importantly, this is probably the trickiest bit. Can the student play accurately the composition? And if so, then I come to here and go, well done. Excellent. I want to give you an A. That's it. Are there any questions, girls, before we start? Yeah. Okay, you forgot? Yep. Ask loudly.
Will you be giving us our grades today?
No.
Finish?
No, because it's going to take you more than now to finish it off. For what the process is, you need to write the composition first. You've got to check that you've got everything correct in there. Once you've checked it and once you know it's going to work, then you actually have to sit there and practice this on the guitar, just like you did with Heartbreak Hotel. And once you know you can play it, so once I know I can go A, and keep a nice steady beat for the whole composition, then you're ready to get marked on it. So there's 2 things that you have to do really. One is you have to write the music. The second part is you need to learn to play whatever you write. Yes. Ask loudly.
Are you allowed to be with one of them to get graded differently, or?
The question is, are you allowed to do a part of it and then get grade for that part? What I'll get you to do is write a part, come and show me, sir, am I on track? Yes, if you keep going like this, then you'll be an A. But when I assess you for it, I want to see the whole lot. Yeah?
You know how there's A, D, and E?
Yes?
Where's the B?
There's B chords, there's C chords, there's an A, B, C, D, E, F, G chord, but for our course, we're only focusing on A, D, and E.
So there is a B.
Yeah, you'll learn it afterwards. Any other questions before I finish this video? All right, has that helped, girls? Do you understand what you need to be doing?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And if you've got any questions, please come and ask any of the music teachers. Ask Miss Gerardis. Sorry, not Miss Gerardis. She's having a baby. Go and ask Miss Singleton, Miss McEwen, Mr. Farlow, even Miss Petro, who also teaches music. And of course, you can ask me. All right. Good luck, girls.